Hello, hello.
All right. Hello, my name is Trish Roberts, and welcome to the Mind Blowing Happiness Podcast. Today, we're talking to the founder of Beyond Common Consulting, life and business coach, Tracey Watts Cirino. Hi, Tracey. How are you?
Hi, Trish. I'm so excited to be here. We have been planning this forever,
I
girl.
know.
Yay. I'm so excited to be here with you on your show.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I met Tracey back in 2021 at a business retreat. And I think ever since then, we've been talking about doing each other's podcasts. So, I'm
Yes.
excited to finally get into this with you today. And I've also worked with Tracey as a business coach, and she's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy working with you.
Thank you. Before we get into our topic, I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit about Beyond Common, your company, and what you do.
So I I help female business owners set up like the systems, the strategies, the things that they need to really, really save time and set up like profitable income streams. Over time, I found that like most of the people I work with might hire me for marketing or they think I need help getting more clients or whatever that looks like. But as we get under the hood, there's always layers of things getting in the way that are actually stuff that we need to work on. It could be, overcoming imposter syndrome, overcoming different worthiness beliefs and things like that. So a lot of the work we do is business, but then so much is personal because you can't be in business because and
Without
not
being a
think
person.
it's that it's personal. Like I used to when I first started in business, I remember people always saying that, oh, business isn't personal. I'm like, but I'm a person. Like I didn't get that. So I've always come at it from this very holistic approach that I'm a person and persons everywhere are in business. So we've got to get ourselves right first, or our business just keeps creating more obstacles and hurricanes for us. So
Yeah,
we get ourselves right and then set up the system.
and I think what you're saying, though, is really the old business model, almost like the pre woman business model, where these
Possibly.
businesses were designed like the military, with very this top-down architecture, do as you're told, don't ask questions, no feeling involved. If somebody needs to have their neck cut off, that's what you do, and the beautiful thing is now that we have so many successful women and women leaders in business, we can bring that feminine energy. And it's changed a lot. Like when I was growing up, in the 80s and the 70s, women were wearing these huge shoulder pads to kind of look like men and kind of bring this male energy. Um, but I think what you're talking about is a lot of that is the feminine energy that we're seeing now, where you can be a human, you can be caring, you can be compassionate, you can have empathy, and you can still be really successful and have a profitable business.
Yes. It,
Mhm.
it really is the whole person, though. I think so often that even today, with the soft feminine pieces that are existing, people still try to separate. Oh, I'm like this at home, but I'm over here for my business. And my support is about let's bring it together because the success of your business, it should support your life. You should not sacrifice your life to serve your business. That's like working opposite. So when we look at business through the lens of like, okay, really being in business should support my life and the lifestyle that I want. And that is like just the deeper layer that I like to work with people on because that gets stuck.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, we definitely want, and what I was going to say is only recently in the past few months, I was thinking about, gosh, I'm a little different on LinkedIn than I am on Instagram, you know?
Yeah.
And I really want to be able to be my full authentic self as an entrepreneur wherever I show up.
Yeah.
We see it a lot with corporate women, and I know, I was a corporate woman for many years, where you have to be kind of different in the office because of the model I was talking about, that kind of
Yeah.
military model than you are on the weekends. Um, But yeah, so I think we're all trying to incorporate our whole selves and
Yeah, the
show
whole
up authentically in, all the spaces that we're in. And
yeah.
it's not to be confused with being inappropriate because sometimes people say, "Wow, you can't go to work in a bikini." No, you can't.
Well, I look at it like we can be professional,
Right.
right? We can be professional, but not the boring stuff shirt. Like everyone's trying to look like a man because even men don't want to dress like that anymore. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like not the boring stuff shirt version of be like your bright and shiny self wherever you are. Like, don't think that like that doesn't get to shine through because that's what makes you uniquely you, whether you're on Instagram, LinkedIn, or speaking at a corporate retreat, right? When we are fully embodying who we are, that makes more people want to work with us. That helps us get promotions where we are. I think for so long, being told to be not your whole self has been the problem.
Yeah, I love those two words together, professional and authentic.
It's
That feels like the
yeah, it's
perfect
like both.
union.
That's literally in my first book, Beyond Common, like the 12 essentials to success in life in the workplace. I literally based it around that. Like we dive so deep into like professionalism and authenticity. They can be, you don't have to be the stuffed shirt. That's literally how I designed it. And at the time, because that book's, it's been around more than 5 years, at the time it was such a foreign concept. But that's the thing. It's like, okay, how do we serve our clients and be the best versions of ourselves in all these different things, right? And yeah, even when you go to the beach and you're wearing a bikini, if you do see a client, you still feel comfortable and you're like, hey, I usually see you in my suit, but I'm still like, hey, or you see a client at a wedding, and you're like, oh, hi. So sometimes we're wearing different clothes, but who we are is consistent because we are authentic to who we are.
And all of that is so closely tied, I find, to like the imposter syndrome that you talk about, which is really confidence, and
Yeah.
to that happiness, where unfortunately many people aren't happy at work because they're spending a lot of time navigating how to be who they don't really feel like they are,
Right.
being a portion of themselves.
Exactly. And in my dreamscape of this perfect world, it's like we only would apply to work at places that are aligned with our core values and who we are. And the people that own those companies would only hire people that were aligned with who they are. Like we all can have what we want. The first step is being really clear about who you are,
Hmm.
what you want. Like, what are those desires? And I know you were like, oh, let's talk about money mindset because it's January. And like, that's the first step, right? The first step
Hmm.
to getting your mindset of any kind, but then your money mindset in order is what do you really want? You have to focus on what you want, right? So even when it comes to the workplace, if we're focused on all the things that we don't like about something, well, what happens? Oh, we just
Not
get more of
anything.
that. Right? But if we focus on what we do want, then, oh, what happens? We just get more of that.
Yeah, that was a shift for me, I know, a few years back when I was really looking for alignment. You use that
Yeah,
word alignment. And sometimes, well, we'll get into the whole mindset thing because sometimes we don't think maybe that we deserve to have that alignment, you know? But tell me
yeah.
about your backstory because before we get into this money mindset topic, I want you to let us know, how did you get to be the owner of the business and a business coach?
Like all the things. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, I'll give you the quick version. So, I was in the hair and beauty industry for, this is hilarious because we just did a license renewal, 30 years. That's how long have been doing that. As of this year, I was like, oh my goodness, that's hilarious. So, it's been more than 5 years since I sold my salon. So, I had a very successful salon business. And during the COVID shift, we lost a lot of staff, all the things, but we had been very successful prior to. We came back and we grew it to be actually more successful than ever from a profitability standpoint because we had less people, which was crazy. But I didn't want to work that hard anymore. It was like my kids are little. We had lost all the support and all the things because um, we didn't have the same childcare situation. So I was kind of at this like crossroads of like, what am I gonna do? Like I had written Beyond Common, my first book, The 12 Essentials to Success in Life in the Workplace, but I wasn't sure. Like I just always visioned myself with growing more leaders in the hair and beauty space. And I had some coaching clients that I had just because I love to help people, but it hadn't been like the focus of my business at all. Like, so I was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm just going to be open to what I'm going to focus on what I do want. I want to feel good. I want to be able to take care of my children. I, want to be as excited and passionate about growing something as I was when I first grew this business, like all the things. So I started focusing on that. And all of a sudden, our landlord was like, I want your space. And I was like, what? And at first I was offended. So he ended up wanting to buy our space. So he bought me out. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to start an online. So I thought could transition all the success of being this in-person business into an online like beauty. Well, we failed miserably at that.
Oh, so I did
Failed,
not know. So you
failed
started online
miserably at that.
beauty.
But we were taking off on the coaching, the consulting. Like everybody was asking me to do that. And I was like, so frustrated because I was like, this should be a no-brainer. I know this like the back of my hand. Like what?
Mhm.
So
But
sometimes,
your clients wanted something else. They wanted
right.
coaching.
So yeah, and it's kind of like the same thing. Like even when I first started the salon, I really didn't want to do that. It wasn't like I wanted to be the leader. I just couldn't find what I was looking for. And I kept getting pushed into it. So the same thing happened. We tried to transition to this online, where you could buy the stuff online and you could do all the things and we had our unique stuff. Well, it didn't take off, but the coaching did. And I ended up
That's a great
having
story for, I
six.
think, a lot of entrepreneurs
Yeah.
because, many times we think things are going to go in one direction
And it
and
didn't.
you pivot. And there were
Right.
so many kind of pandemic pivots that took place at that time. I know for
Yeah.
my business, I started 2019 and I was doing in-person retreats and things like that. And then I couldn't do it anymore, you
Right.
know?
Like
So yeah, so you made a
a huge,
profitable pivot.
yeah. And now I have 5 international best-selling books. Go figure. I used to always dream of writing more books, but there was a lot of things keeping me distracted. So when it was removed, I was like, oh, this is really more of what I wanted. But the reason I'm sharing those bullet points of the story is because I focused on what I wanted. I was very clear on what I wanted. I wanted a certain quality of life. I wanted to feel a certain way. I wanted my days to be filled with people that, appreciated the gifts that I have to offer, right? Like just focusing on that type of stuff really, really changed it for me. I don't think I built my first 2 successful businesses that way, right? I don't think I was as clear. Well, then this time I'm like, I don't understand. I'm following all the mindset logic and I'm being very clear about what level of success because I kind of still thought it had to be a certain way. But when I surrendered to letting all the guides and whatever else is necessary to help me, the path was clearer. It started to light its way.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
so it's like one of those things that when we, really focus on how we want to feel and what we really want. I know it's almost like it felt so selfish at first because we've been told our whole life that they didn't think of others first, but that when you're manifesting and getting your mindset right, that is not the time to do that.
well, so you said the word, so let's get into the topic.
That's not the time to do it, right? Like, you gotta do it.
Today's topic is mastering your money mindset. And with everything going on in the world politically right now, I think there's no more important time than now to make sure that your finances are lined up. I worked as a financial advisor for 12 years, and I've been an entrepreneur working with leadership and mindset for the past 6. And what I've learned is that money and money mindset are 2 very different things. You can have well, it's particularly like when I was working and I was making 6 figures, I was making the money, but I still had that mindset where it was okay for someone to pay me a salary versus when I started working for myself and I
Mhm.
had to set my own price.
It's a different, yeah. Well, yeah, because that is a lot of the inner work that I end up working on with people because it's like we always, so many people dream of being a business owner. Then they realize, oh, I need a boss because I have not given myself permission to receive money in any other way except
Mhm.
like, your salary. So that is a huge block to overcome.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. But
Kudos
so
to
what do you
you
think
for
of first?
overcoming it.
Yes, I've been working on it for years now. But what do you think of first, like when you hear the term money mindset? Does it trigger something for you or?
I love money and I know money loves me. So I'm very comfortable with that. And here's the and I also, as I've shifted and transitioned to different things, have still had triggers and things come up because it's like that next level. Like you think you've got it, like, oh, I'm good. And then you I'm like, I have sabotaged myself. I've used my mindset the wrong way. Okay, stop, reset, and then go back to how you want to feel. How do you want your life to look? What does success really look like for you? Right? Because money is important because of the earth, the planet that we live on now. This is just how it's designed right now. So rather than thinking that we have to fix all of it, let's just focus on having as much money as you need to have the quality of life that you desire, right? Because I decided, I think a long time ago, that I was never going to let money be the reason that I can't do what I want to do.
When you say that, do you mean like having an experience or living where you want to live, or do you mean
All
your
of it.
actual employment, your occupation?
I think it's like all of it. Like, I think all of it, all of it. But that has been a challenge because I was very stuck to it coming in one way. And I didn't know I was stuck.
When did you feel like you were stuck to it?
When I was first transitioning and going, and like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it this way. Well,
From the
I was really
salon to the coaching business?
well to the online like to
Okay.
the
From the
online,
salon to the
store,
online.
like still keeping that going.
Hmm.
Um, that was really crazy. And then lo and behold, this is just part of it that's really funny. Then I was like, okay, okay, this needs to shift. Okay. Someone reach the next time someone reaches out to me for something that's in the salon world, because then I was like, okay, I'm leaving that behind. And now I'm going to transition to the coaching because that was what people wanted from me. So then when I set my mind to do that, then all this stuff starts coming on the other side. So I'm like, wait a minute. This hasn't been working, but now, and that has, and now it's flipping back. So I was like, what, like, I'm just going back to that, like, that time where it was all shifting, that I was like, fine, if people want me to color their hair or do haircut, whatever, it's 500 for haircuts and like $2,000 for color, period. Here's me just saying that so I could close the door because my mindset, which I didn't realize, didn't think I was worthy of that. But guess what happened next?
Did people pay you?
Yes. I was
I
like,
love it.
shit, why didn't I do that all those years when, there were growing pains way back where, we had to train staff, we had to do stuff. And that makes it harder and you're earning less because their prices are less, all the things. I'm like, I could have just been doing that for years before I transitioned. So it's just funny, like, because you have to break the mindset on each thing. So, yes, I retired from hair when I was charging $500 a haircut and over $2,000 for color. I retired because I didn't love it anymore.
It's
And
so interesting. So, and the funny thing is when you said that, I could immediately see where people would judge you and say, well, who does she think she is charging $2,000? But we have all levels of service in every area. And what I realize as a coach and a consultant is that I only have so many hours in the day. So if you're
right.
getting my time one-on-one,
Yeah.
that could be very pricey, right? Because it's not like your staff is doing the color, it's you doing the color.
Right. And that's the thing. So so basically that was like the wake up call to where, oh, well, you're really loving this more. And if we I go way back in time, long before I ever opened a salon or did anything like that, I was an educator. I traveled around the world teaching advanced color, cut, and business practices.
Hmm.
People would see me at a huge show and then hire me to come in and help them, teach their staff how to do it or help them have marketing and business stuff. So I was a coach first before I ever was an actual business owner. And that happened by accident. And then I feel like it happened again. It happened again when I was like, oh, I'm going to do this online business, but really the coach. So now the thing that's the funniest about your mindset is you have to get clear on what you want, but you cannot be like so attached to how you get it, right? And as soon as I disconnected from the how, I definitely got more of it. I mean, I created a big mess though. I'm not going to lie. I created financial, hurricanes and issues that then you have to work through those. So when you are clear on, what's your like energetic minimum and maximum, then when you hit those, then you can level up to the next level. And that's the only way to do it because your time is valuable. And you growing your coaching business is really about people seeing your value of what you have to offer. Period. People will see your value because you value you.
As you were talking, I was thinking about that Rumi quote, what you seek is seeking you,
Yeah, yeah,
because it was like you were looking to have that alignment, and then it started coming towards you. And
right.
even with or how you were saying you were coaching before you were really coaching,
Yeah,
it reminds me of myself when I was working as a financial advisor. As a financial advisor for 12 years, and I always felt like I was really coaching my families that I worked with, to help them know how to make wise decisions about their finance and their investments. So
yeah,
yeah, it's like that thread was always there.
yeah.
And I feel like we're such kindred spirits.
Oh, well, Trish, it's so true because like that's the part that like I realized through this transition that I don't know much about finance. So I need people that know about that real it's sort of like the the dictionary of actual finance, the way the baking industry works and how we can maximize our money and all of that stuff. Like
Mhm.
that kind of financial education is not what I know about. I know how to break through the mindset traps that keep you from earning and receiving, right? But the planning and all of that, like that's what I'm
That's
learning.
technical. It's technical knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's the
And I
stuff
had
that
the technical knowledge, but I didn't know the mindsets,
so
stuff, the things that were holding me back. But I want to get into some tips that we can share with the audience.
yeah, absolutely.
So you
I
said
made a
something
list.
that I want to kind of latch onto first, because when I asked you about money, you said, I love money and I know money loves me. And I
Yep.
wrote that down and I said, that's going to be one of my affirmations
Yes,
because we're so accustomed to this idea, money's the root of all evil. Don't do it just for the money. You don't want to just sell your soul. This idea that money, and that's part of the mindset issue, right? That money's not quote unquote good. So
right.
can you talk to us a little bit more about maybe affirmations, or
Yeah,
give us
absolutely.
some things we can use?
So some of the things that I like to play with is looking at it different. Looking at it through the lens of, you know, not that you're going to fix this money situation once and for all, that you're building a relationship. Like money loves me, right? And I like it's a tool, right? It's a tool. Money is a tool that has been provided to us on this earthly plane, right? Even though sometimes I just want to transcend the planet and just get out of here. We have to be here as we are.
That's
Right?
another podcast
Right.
episode.
Like, so we have to be here because we are. So here we are. We're on Earth. I'm being very grounded in my humanness today. So the thing is that we are here on Earth for a reason, and we have tools. The more joy we get from utilizing the tools, the more of it we get. So it's just the same because have you ever had an experience like the first step in all of this is the focusing on what you do want. So you want money But if you think money isn't like an evil ogre, do you really want it? No, you're having resistance, so you'd be pushing it away. It's the same thing as when, have you ever had an experience when you heard something someone said about you and you got so angry and you were like so hurt and you got all worked up about it? It activated your energy. And then you talk to them and they didn't say that at all. Like
Hmm.
somehow it got twisted and you spent so much time really activated. So you talk it through with your friend and you realize they never said any of that. None of that was true. But wait a minute, you believed it was. So why can't you believe you're wealthy and that you deserve money just as much as like you see how we can activate our feelings. So use that activation that happens for your greater good to get some positive money happening in your life. So
Can I
I
jump in here? Can I jump in here?
yeah,
That so when you
absolutely.
were talking about that, I was thinking how people say money can't buy me love, right? And they say money is the root of all evil. And when you said that about somebody saying something about you that's not true, I was thinking we're over here hurting money's feelings by saying bad things about it when you're right, it's a tool. It's
No.
as much, I tell this story. Well, actually, I never tell this story, but I'm going to tell you one story. So I was in a relationship once upon a time, and my partner cheated. And I found out because this was back in the day when we had pagers. So I found
Love
out
it. You're probably
because of
pretty
the
creative.
pager.
Yeah.
And so his solution was to get rid of the pager. He got rid of the pager. It was the pager's fault. I'm going someplace, right? So the pager was the tool and he
Cartoon.
got rid of the tool. So it's like he was angry at the tool. And I think that some
You
kind
get
of way
yeah.
that could be the
Oh,
relationship that people have with money. Like we know that we need it. We need
right.
it for everything, but we're have this kind of internalized mindset where it causes problems. What is it? More money, more problems.
Right. Or
Um,
we were
I'm trying to
taught
think
that
of
money
this.
doesn't grow on trees, that money is the root of all evil. Like there's all those things that have still stick
Or
with us,
even the
right?
word prostitute, right? Is like you'll do anything for money, like it's like this
Right.
nastiness around
And
money.
so we have
So
to we have to reprogram our brains and rewire it because just because someone told you that doesn't make it true, right? So even our parents that told us that, they don't really believe that it's true. They wanted money. Money would have made their life easier. Do
But I
you
love that it's a tool, and I know
yeah,
Oprah had said something about this where when you have a lot of money, it makes you more of who you are. So if you're generous, you'll be more generous. If you are a person who's interested in education, I guess like her, she opened a school,
yeah.
so it's a tool for whatever it is that you want to manifest in the world. Anyway, I
Yeah,
had to
it
I had to jump in there
amplifies.
because I'm like,
I
yes, I'm
well,
here. It's a tool. I love it.
I think it amplifies who you really are.
It amplifies,
Yeah.
yes.
Like, like when I think about like I look at it like at different stages of life. When I, you know, didn't have anything starting out and then when I, started having lots of money, but then when I lost everything and then had to get it back. Like I I like myself so much better with money because I'm very generous. Like I like to do things that create wow experiences for people. And that was the thing that when I had to watch and start like sacrificing, that wasn't in authenticity with me. So I started not behaving like who I really am. So when I started focusing again on, okay, what do I really want? Well, I want to have enough money that if I want to donate to any cause, absolutely I can. If
Mhm,
I have a friend that's having a hard time and I have this crazy idea about some elaborate gift I want to send her, I can do that.
mhm.
If my kid's having a rough time and they
Alright,
need
hello, I got
support, I want to be able to I want to be able to like not have to work that day and be able to show up for them. So all the things. So that is something that is super important to me that I get to be authentically who I am. So when we focus on what you really want, I think that the biggest trip up here is that so often if someone says, "Oh my God, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Like this is a common thing that I hear from, different clients because
Hmm.
from college and then they try to start a business or whatever. So if you have a lot of debt, and I'm guilty of this because I thought I had fixed it. And then, like I said, when I shifted so I had to do it again. So I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So I've learned again. The thing is that when you focus on like, I need money because I have debt, that is like energetically not the place you want to focus from. You need to focus on specifically how the money that you want to have is going to make you feel. Like envision yourself writing off that final payment to make the last payment of your debt. Envision what it's like to receive, $10,000 a day just coming in. Whatever your number is, just pick a number. You can start with a dollar and build it up from there because you have to feel like you believe it and it has to be very crystal clear. But the thing that we trip up about is focusing on the debt when really we're trying to focus on building wealth. So you've got to get that off of your mind and get really clear on what you want to focus on.
Yeah, so I'm making some notes here because there are a couple of things I wanted to circle back to.
Yeah.
One, when we were talking about amplifying who you
Mhm.
are, it was making me think about, when I was younger, I would spend my money very differently than now.
Yeah.
So when we're immature, like even when you think of young celebrities who spend their money on a lot of craziness.
We wanted a purse. I get it. Like you're like,
Well, it could be a purse, it could be drinking, it could be, expensive trip, whatever it might be.
right.
Well, it could be drugs, right? You see a lot of celebrities,
Sure, yeah.
fall to drugs where they have these really expensive habits. But so I'm thinking that it can amplify your immaturity. It can
Yeah,
amplify a lack of self-confidence if that's where you are.
absolutely.
It'll amplify whatever place you're in. And then when you were talking about focusing on how it makes you feel, it was making me think of something I learned from Marcy Shimoff a few years ago when we set our intentions for the year, like when we do our vision boarding. She
Yeah.
talks about soul-based intentions versus ego-based
Yeah,
intention.
like feeling it. Like I have to feel it in my heart. If I don't get that tingle, I learned that from Marcy too. If I don't get that tingle, I'm like, oh, that's just an idea, right? Like I have to get the tingle in my heart. Then I know it's like, okay, that's that desire that's connected to my soul. That's what I really want.
And it
Because
makes you feel good. So the
yeah,
soul-based intention, like when you're thinking about how you feel when you have that extra hundred or thousand or $100,000 in your bank account versus thinking, oh God, I gotta pay this debt. I gotta, which is not, it's a very constricted feeling,
well,
a
it's a
stressful feeling
lack
of,
and
ah,
it's a lack mindset. And I will tell
yes,
you that
exactly. It's a
as
lack mindset.
somebody who
Mhm.
thought I worked through all that, again, like as I shifted and transitioned, it popped up again. And I'm like, oh man, so it's one of those things that you have to be in this continuous loving relationship with yourself and with your relationship with money. Because the more loving you are to yourself, the more that you're able to tap into what really feels good. When you think that you're not worthy of it, you push everything away, right? We push away all the good things. When we're tapped into it, like,
And we don't even know we're doing it.
right? Like, I will have to, like, sometimes I'll just walk around and, like, oh, everybody wants to give me their money. I have so much value. I mean, and it's funny, but like, that's what gets you. You got to say crazy things sometimes.
I
I
love it because
to get it, to
when I
get it
think back
out.
with when I think back with myself, and I was talking to one of my good friends and mastermind partners the other day, and I started a group in Atlanta. It was a group on Meetup. It's called Black Vegan Life, right? And I started it, oh gosh, 2014. So at first I wasn't charging. Of course, I didn't want to charge, right? It's my gift. It's my love offering to the community. And then later on, I was an entrepreneur and I was like, I really need to start charging for this. And I spent a lot of time on it. So I did start charging, but once it got to the point where I felt it was more than what I had put into it, when it was feeling profitable, like even that word profit, oh, sometimes profit is used as a bad word, and I
And
had
it's a
to really
beautiful
work on
word.
myself and
Yeah,
realize that, yes, you should be getting paid for your time. And not just for
absolutely.
my time, for everything that I put into myself to be able to
Yeah.
show up the way that I do.
Well, because it's that energetic exchange. If you feel that you put so much into something and don't receive anything back, that hurts us psychologically. It hurts our soul a little bit too. Like it hurts us because we start to think that we're not worthy of things. So when the energetic exchange jazzes you up and you feel like you're getting out of it as much as you're putting in, because the minute it starts to be like, do I really want to do that? It's exhausting. That that's like energetically, it's not giving you stuff. So whether it's money, whether it is people doing like trading services for it doesn't matter what it is, but the energetic exchange needs to feel something, right? Like
Yeah.
it needs to feel there. And we don't have to apologize for that because people will pay you for your genius. The fact that you think you shouldn't charge because it's so
I
easy
know
to
it's
do
crazy,
is
but it's
what
like I feel
tells
like
you
I'm
people will pay
mothering.
for it.
I feel like I'm mothering, like as you're talking, I'm thinking, well, I got my co-host here. Like
I
I
know I love
adore
them.
him. He pays for nothing.
And we take care of it. These dogs are more pampered than people, right?
Exactly. So it feels for me like that same kind of nurturing way, but I
Yeah.
guess it's when the balance is off.
Yeah.
Um, you know, because yeah. So anyway, but I just shared it because
Yeah.
I've had my own very
I
real
know.
journey with my own mindset.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to circle back on a few of the things that you spoke about,
Yeah,
just to kind of
absolutely.
recap them a little bit and see if we have anything to add before we close out.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that we give people some actionable items that they can use. So I collected a few tips that you said. The first one, we were talking about affirmations. I
Yeah.
love money, and I know money loves me.
Yes, it does.
For me, one of the ones that I started working with was I deserve the best of everything. It
Absolutely.
was offered to me at a sweat lodge that I used to go to out here in Atlanta. And the first time I heard it, it was like really hard for me. I deserve the best of everything.
Yeah.
I
You,
love money, and money loves me.
and I deserve the best of everything. You absolutely
Mhm.
do. I do too, right? Love that.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's what I had to realize too. It's not a competition. It doesn't mean that you don't.
No, we
We
all, that's
both
what
can
I'm
deserve
saying.
the best of everything.
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't make like me selfish to say I deserve the best of everything because I want the best of everything for you and for you. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I want the best of everything for the world.
Hmm.
And that includes me. For a long
Hmm.
time in life, I thought, oh, I want the best for everybody else. And then I just get the crumbs. Like I had it wrong
Hmm.
for a long time. Then I'm like, oh, no, no, you have to put yourself in the story, right?
Yes.
So that's the thing of like to break it down into like actionable steps. I would say number one is the focus. You have to be like laser being focused on what you do want. Then that'd be number one. Then number two is the feeling. Get get activated in the feeling pieces because it's not like money is a tool. Money is a tool to give you the things you want. And why do you want those things? Because they're going to give you the feeling that you want. So number two is, that you got to activate those feelings. And then the third is once you are focused and clear on what you want and you have activated the feelings, then you take inspired action. So before I would get on a call, like before I get on a podcast and I have another speaking event later today, like before I do those things, I've already done this work. I'm very clear that I want to deliver value. I want to make sure your audience has something tangible to take away. I want to make sure that I've made a positive impact to everyone I spoke to today. Like I do all this before I leave the house, right? Then from there, you take inspired impact. So even if it's just walking down your driveway, magic can happen, right? Because you've done those two steps first, right? Then, so number three is the inspired action. And then like that those are the three simple steps. But if you want bonus, the next is start kind of measuring what you're getting, right? Like you can start measuring it. Is it in alignment with what you focused on? And then 5 would be refine, recalibrate. If you're off, like, oh, I need to get back to that loving relationship with money. I love money and I know money loves me. Like you got to come back to it.
Thank you. Those were so good.
I recap.
And I have one more that I'll share that's also from Marcy,
Yeah,
that I'm still working on because I'm a big giver and I have to work on receiving. And money is something that you receive, and you
yeah,
receive it physically, you also receive it energetically.
yeah,
And I was always one of those people, I don't know, I thought being independent was like this really great thing for as long as I can remember. So I have to, if somebody offers to hold the door for me, say, yeah, sure, as opposed to, no, no, I got it. That was always me. No, no, I got
Oh,
it.
I still
The
struggle with that
worst.
time. I know. I'm like, thank you. I'm just trying to say thank you and catch those words.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. I think those were some great tips. Focus on what you want, get activated in that feeling, take inspired action, measure and refine, recalibrate, and say yes to things. Allow
Yeah,
things, allow things to come to you. Thank you so much, Tracy. This was so helpful. I'm so glad I
yeah.
finally got to have you on my show.
Thank
Do
you
you have
so much.
anything else?
I have a guide for your audience as a gift. It's just like the number one challenge with this is that a lot of people can't figure out what they do want. Like they're just like, oh, what do I want? I don't. So I have a guide. We call it the 7-layer clarity tool, and it is a way for you to get some clarity on what you do want. Because if we start chasing all the things that we don't want, it doesn't turn this around. So the more clear that you can be, the more all of this starts getting activated. So I can
Where can we find
so
the
it
guide?
is, if you go to beyondcommoncoaching.com/7 layers, and then I'll put the link below your video.
Okay, so I can put that in the show notes for everyone. Okay, beyondcommoncoaching.com/7 layers. We'll put it in there.
It's the
And then,
number 7. I should say that the number 7 layers. Yeah, to make it simple.
okay, thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And for me, my latest book, The Anger Myth, is being published internationally. I don't know if I've shared that. That was that was pretty exciting. I'm working on Amazon reviews, so if anybody has not yet left an Amazon review, I would love that.
Yes, leave
And
Trish a review. Her book is awesome.
yes, and I'm actually finding out that it's in a lot of libraries, so you
Yeah,
can
that's
go check it out
good.
in your library, or you can purchase off of Amazon or wherever books are sold near you. You can request it. And Tracy, how can people find you and stay connected?
You can find me. I mean, I know we're on YouTube, so I have a YouTube channel. So it's Tracey Watts Cirino. I have a podcast called Beyond Common Business Secrets, or you can just go to my website, which is just how my name is spelled, TraceyWattsCirino.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Tracy, for having this conversation with me. It's been a pleasure having you.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thanks so much, Trish. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mind Blowing Happiness Podcast. You can visit trishagelroberts.com and click the membership button to join my community. We meet virtually on the last Thursday of the month at noon Eastern with guided meditation, breath work, and mindset guidance for the month.